PCCD, and OVS want to better inform and educate the field on the OVS Consolidated standards. Pennsylvania has long been considered a leader when it comes to these operational standards that are designed to maintain quality services and programming delivered by skilled advocates and staff. The standards are meant to be a guide to VSPs for best practices and excellent service delivery, provide minimum expectations for VSPs, and ensure uniformity of service delivery across the Commonwealth. The standards provide the minimum expectations of victim service delivery and ensure professionalism of the victim services field. Victim Services Program Administration shall interpret and implement policies into tasks and practices that staff are expected to fulfill. There are 6 aspects of program administration: accessibility, fiscal management, governance of nonprofit organizations, personnel management, program planning and evaluation, and record keeping. For the purpose of this training, we have broken down the program administration standard into 6 parts. VSP staff may listen to all 6 recordings in the series or individually as needed. Section A, Accessibility, includes information on numerous pieces that together promote equality to all victims and allow for effective accessibility to any agency supported by PCCD oversight. The Office of Victims Services requires that all victims services programs shall have written policies that comply with all federal and state statutes prohibiting discrimination and providing access to all victims seeking services. U.S. Americans Disabilities Act, or ADA, prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in the delivery of services and employment practices. Pennsylvania Human Relations Act requires that employers shall post and maintain at their establishment fair employment practices notices furnished by the Human Relations Commission, indicating the substantive provisions of the Act where complaints may be filed and other information that the Commission deems pertinent. U.S. Rehabilitation Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in the delivery of services and employment practices. U.S. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin in the delivery of services. This also includes failing to provide meaningful access to individuals who are limited English proficient, or LEP. See your language accessibility standard. The U.S. Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968 prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, or sex in the delivery of services and employment practices. U.S. Age Discrimination Act of 1975 prohibits discrimination on the basis of age in the delivery of services. Pennsylvania Executive Order 2016-04 prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religious creed, ancestry, union membership, age, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, national origin, AIDS or HIV status, or disability. Federal Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, prohibits discrimination in programs either funded under the statute or administered by the Office of Violence Against Women, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits, based on actual or perceived race, color, national origin, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Federal Victims of Crime Act, or VOCA, prohibits discrimination in programs funded under the statute, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits, based on race, color, national origin, sex, religion, and disability. Federal Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act, JJDPA, prohibits discrimination in programs funded under the statute, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits based on race, color, national origin, sex, and religion. The program shall have a cooperative relationship and/or memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, with other organizations, institutions that provide specialized services. These MOUs must include information that those entities included in the MOU must abide by these state and federal regulations noted in slides 4 and 5. A memorandum of understanding is a document between at least two parties that explains the proposed agreement between them. It is a document that states the expectations and responsibilities between the parties. MOUs communicate the mutually accepted expectations of the parties involved and can be bilateral or two parties or multilateral, more than two parties. In order to meet these legal requirements, there are 5 focus points in this section of the standard that apply to all programs. All victims services programs shall post non-discrimination notices as required by the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act, be fully accessible to people with physical disabilities, including those who use wheelchairs. OVS provides practice steps for ensuring these requirements are met. For example, Victim Services programs should be located in buildings that are wheelchair accessible and barrier free. If that is not possible, service must be provided to the individual in an alternate location that meets the confidentiality level of the services provided. If the service is a group service, such as a victim support group, the group should be relocated to an accessible location to ensure that the individual with a disability has the full benefit of the service as required by the Act. Provide auxiliary aids and services for persons with vision, hearing, or speaking impairments. Examples: sign language interpreters, braille text, TDD, augmented phones, or written information, at no cost to the victim to ensure that communications with persons with disabilities are as effective as communications with others. Make reasonable modifications to policies and practices when necessary to accommodate persons with cognitive, behavioral, or other disabilities. See U.S. Title 28, CFR 35.101. Examples of reasonable accommodations may include, but not be limited to, adding a ramp for wheelchair access, having posted signage with braille, offering telecommunication devices for the deaf, TDD, or a sign language interpreter, taking reasonable steps to enhance the victim's ability to give informed consent through implementation of a shared decision-making approach. Require signed confidentiality agreements with all who provide interpretation, signing, braille, or taped materials. The Victim Services Program must establish and implement policies and procedures for language assistance services that provide persons with limited English proficiency, or LEP, with meaningful access. Using an accepted form of translation service and/or hiring bilingual staff are ways to help ensure clients have access. OVS language, accessibility, and the cultural responsiveness standards provide additional guidance and practice tips. Please email or call the program staff contact assigned to your grants with any questions. Thank you.